Thanks very much. Yes, we're coming to you live from IIM Kolkata, and ever since I was speaking to the students and faculty members over here, and ever since they heard that President Kalam died while he was giving his last lecture in their sister college, IIM Shillong, all of them have had very interesting things to say. Let me just introduce two faculty members who were here when President Kalam visited IIM campus in Calcutta in 2011. We have Professor Ashok Banerjee. He's a faculty member, and we also have the then Dean who organized the event for President Kalam, Saugat Ray, over here. Now, you had a nice story about President Kalam when he was visiting. Can you share that with our viewers?
Yeah, but before I get into the stories, I'd like to say that India today lost the greatest son in this century. I think it's a person who's been the epitome of modernity and science and spirituality combined, and all the virtues that you could think of in a human being he had been. So I had a good fortune to interact with him 4 or 5 times, but what I'll try to narrate a simple story that reflects what a great personality he was. We were organizing the Golden Jubilee function in 2011, 14th November, and he was supposed to inaugurate the function. So he was supposed to come at 10 o'clock, but he had a previous function in the morning in Raj Bhavan. So he came half an hour late, and we waited for inauguration to start at 10:30. But he was supposed to leave at 12. But by the time he finished his speech, it was 5 minutes to 12. But there are other functions still to be done in his presence. So that's what he agreed. So that's the time his protocol officer said that President Kalam, you have to leave now. So then he was about to leave, then I just approached him and said, sir, there are other things to be done, and your presence is very much required. We are supposed to release a film on the Institute as a Golden Jubilee memorabilia. So he then turned back to the protocol officer. He said, look, yes, this is an honor. Half an hour delay was not because of them. And if I leave now, that means those capacity crowd in the auditorium who were waiting for me for 30 minutes, they should have left within 10 minutes or 20 minutes before I arrived. So I have to stay back. So he stayed back.
Was the protocol officer pleased or unpleased?
No, but he has a that charm, and the way he said, this protocol officer also smiled, and it was not offensive, because that's sort of true spirit of President Kalam. So he has never made remarks which might sound offensive, but the way he used to do it, it's so disarming.
Professor Banerjee, what do you remember about that meeting?
Yeah, so in that year I was sitting and listening to his speech in the auditorium, and what attracted me most is his positivity. And I remember he said that to the students, addressing students, he said that, whatever happens to either side of Atlantic, don't get worried at all. You do your job. Don't think what's happening in Europe and US. You should shine, and India should shine ahead. So
what was the theme of his speech? That was the theme?
No, his theme was his general address to the students, talking about youthfulness, innovation, and he was also referring to that igniting of minds and the kind of stuff they can do. So
just to tell our viewers that as the teachers were telling me that just outside this auditorium, there is a little plant that he planted during his visit over here.
Yeah, so he planted a sapling here, and it's still there, and the tree is growing. And that's what I said, that he was an epitome of whatever is positive in life.
Mr. Mitra, you were talking about his last moments and how you felt that was a perfect ending to the life that he lived. Tell us why.
Yeah, ironically, the last time I saw him was in IIM Shillong, and this was
in IIM Shillong itself?
Yes. And
when was this?
This was 2 years back, and he was the chief guest of a sustainability conference. I was a speaker. And what struck me, again, we're Institute of Management. We're about managing and leading people, but I think the best way to manage and lead is to inspire. And he was truly inspirational, and there are 3 things. One is, as he said, there was a huge amount of optimism and positivity. There was an amazing amount of energy. The other thing about him was very authentic. He was unlike anyone else, and you could see, he could never be. Nothing about him was false. He was so different because he didn't, and all the power and growth never spoiled him. He never lost the real touch. And the other thing was his work ethic. And I remember Saugat saying that he actually mentioned that, don't have a holiday, in fact, work an extra day. that was really his work ethic. And I think that's proven by the way he died. You know, a lot of us who want to, you know, do well in life and grow rich and want to retire. Some people want to grow rich early and retire early. And I personally believe that, you know, as long as you live on this earth, you should be productive and you should do something. And imagine, at the age of 84, going all the way up to the hills and dying while giving a lecture. There couldn't be better death.
Never took a day off, really,
Yeah.
even after he left. And actually, that's a theme which has taken on, being talked about a lot in the social media circles as well, that when President Kalam stood for, as you said, working extra, and even saying in his lifetime that people should work an extra day and not commemorating by taking a day off, I just wanted to pass it to the students over here. When you hear that for his mourning, when people are marking it, the MPs have asked for, you know, they're not going to work tomorrow as well because they want to attend his funeral. Do you think that it's befitting?
I think it goes completely against what Dr. Kalam stood for, because as we just discussed, he always said that work an extra day. So I think right now he would be really disappointed if the MPs took a day off and not worked on that one day.
Does everyone agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I think he stood for hard work as an ethic, and he had actually got to where he was through hard work. And at the end of the day, the best way we could honor him would be to work harder and work better at what we are doing. So, yeah.
Okay, so a lot of, yeah, you wanted to add to that, yeah?
As one reads his books, the way he describes his childhood, the way he describes his mother, his learnings, and as he grew, it's so simplified. He makes it sound so easy, but it wasn't. It's not just a great loss for us, the students, but he was a great inspiration to a lot of teachers as well, the entire faculty system as such. I remember when my mother heard the news, she was mourning the entire night yesterday. So
She was sorry?
she was really crying and mourning very hard the entire day yesterday. So that is the effect that he had. We just meet him once and you'll just remember him for lifetime. So that is something which we have to build upon. His ideas, how he built it, that should be inculcated into the system, and then it should be brought forth. I think that is the best thing which we could do.
It's fascinating what you're saying, that we don't usually see this kind of personal emotion, especially for public figures. And you're saying your mother, who, was she a science enthusiast? No. She's a teacher. Okay, so perhaps very close to his constituency. But what makes general people come out and have this outpouring of emotion? Yeah, you wanted to say something.
I think what is most fascinating about Dr. Kalam is that every single person has been inspired by him since he or she was a child. And that is what I saw on my social media feed when I was looking today morning. And appropriately, the one and only time I got to hear him speak was at an award function where children were being felicitated for innovation.
You also wanted to say something. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, on a similar line, I think what we've seen more than anything else is the testament to the fact that he was somebody that our generation has been respecting more than any other politician. We've never seen such an outpouring of grief. Like, I've had friends who, not just on social media, even when we're talking amongst ourselves, since yesterday, the only topic has been his death and how inspired they were by him and how much they respected him and how big a loss it is to India. I have never seen through my lifetime people being so impacted by an event which is happening on the public sphere. I mean, this kind of outpouring I've never seen before, and I think it stands for how much of an impact he had on all of us.